Hello everyone! Today is one of those videos that I have to do just to get things off of my chest, just so I can vent just a little bit of frustration. So you'll forgive me if I get a little bit too passionate at parts of this video, but we're going to wrap it around something that is a more universal thing for collectors that we can talk about today at length and actually have an actual video instead of me just using this as an excuse to rant. And we're going to be talking about holy grails. And I do not mean the biblical one. I do not mean the one that Indiana Jones drank from. I do not even mean Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is a fantastic movie. If you've never seen, go watch it right now. However, when we are talking about holy grails as far as toy collecting goes, we are referring to that one seemingly impossible to obtain toy that if we got it, we could basically call our collection complete. That one figure that you could say is absolutely the one that you want above all others. And maybe it's impossible to find, maybe it's always out of your price point, but for one reason or another, it is that one toy that you absolutely have to have someday. So, in Transformers, everyone has their own completely different idea of what a holy grail is. For a lot of people right now, it's something like the HasLab Unicron. I'm kind of in that boat myself. I missed out on it when it was up for order, and now it's, a minimum $1,800 if you want one, which I could never justify on one toy, ever. That's a car pay. That's a down payment on a car. I can't pay that on one toy. But that doesn't mean all of them have to be like that. It's not always about them being uber expensive, right? So for me, my holy grail for Transformers for the longest time was G1 Star Saber. Hey, it's me. No shock, right? There are certain things I will always go nuts for. Kamen Rider Gills, Star Saber, various anime, video game characters. I could go on and on about the stuff that I just will buy on site no matter what I find of them. But Star Saber in particular was that holy grail item. Ever since I learned about it, I love the design. I love the concept of the character. And it was one of those where, for the longest time, there was no other options. You had the Robot Masters version, but that was it. If you wanted a good size Star Saber, you had to get the G1, and that was your only option. Today, not only do I own G1 Star Saber, I own Masterpiece Star Saber, and I'm one of those eagerly awaiting for their HasLab Star Saber to show up in a few months. Absolutely thrilled that we are living in a world where, yes, there are options for a Star Saber now. But this was my holy grail in 2010. What would it be now? And the obvious ones, if this is my original Transformer holy grail, the obvious holy grails would end up being, Death Saurus or Victory Leo, right? Well, I'm not terribly crazy about the Victory Leo combination, not enough to actually get one. The same BotCon I got Star Saber at, I had a shot at a Victory Leo. I should have taken that shot, and I did not, because it was missing something. I think it was missing the rifle, which would have driven me nuts trying to get a hold of. So I skipped out on it. Maybe a little bit of regret in that. But Victory Leo is not actually all that high on my list. Neither is Death Saurus. Much as I would love to have Star Saber's counterpart, it's not one that I just have to go after. If I'm pointing to any Transformer these days that I want above all others, outside of a HasLab Unicron, it's going to be Overlord. I've got the modern one, I've got the Titan's Return, but it doesn't do what this one does. It doesn't have the Godmaster gimmick. It does not have nearly as good of a playset mode. I love the look and function of this thing. I would absolutely love to get my hands on one of these at some point. For now, this is Holy Grail territory for me. And this is not an unobtainable figure by any stretch of the imagination. It's a toy that has a ton of parts, so finding a complete one can be tricky, but this is mostly just about monetary commitment. Am I willing to spend the money it takes to get a complete one? And maybe not now. Maybe not right now. I'm still recovering. I'm still recovering from the trip to California, let alone MetroCon. I need a little bit of time for my coffers to recover. But this is more about cost, more than anything, more than like scarcity. Scarcity is a huge reason for Holy Grails to come about. I know right now your Holy Grail might be like the Netflix Soundwave figure that got a one-off release and has not been reissued in any way, shape, or form since, and the price is skyrocketing. The Earthrise cone heads too. Like they talked about possibly reissuing them. Fingers crossed for everyone who missed out on that set, because they definitely need another go around. But yeah, sometimes it's scarcity, sometimes it's cost. Now, there's a few important things to know about Holy Grails as far as toy collecting goes. It doesn't have to be super expensive, and it doesn't have to be unobtainable. Sometimes a Holy Grail can just mean the one that's most important to you. My friend Sean, who actually went with me to that BotCon in 2010, one of the reasons I was actually able to go, because he put me up in a spot in his house, his Holy Grail was Sea Spray. A toy you could get for $10. And that was because it was a major connection between him and his dad, which admittedly is a fantastic reason to have a particular Holy Grail toy. But it is not, for him, it was not about it's a rare figure. For him, it wasn't about it's an expensive figure. No, for him, it really was just this was, a very, very important toy for him. So that is incredibly valid as well. The Holy Grail is not always just like the unobtainable toy. It is the one that means the most to you. It's the one that you want the most, period. And whatever reason that you put to that is a valid reason. So, absolutely fair game. We actually had a similar situation right on the WTF at TFW podcast recently. We had someone send us a listener question asking about Holy Grails. And the question was if a Holy Grail could be something that didn't exist, which is actually kind of fascinating because that is literally unobtainable. You're just kind of hoping that it becomes obtainable someday. And you know what? I would count that as well. If it is something that you imagine could happen and something that you like, if they ever do this, like it will be the thing I have to get. I think that's completely valid as well. Now, some of that is more or less valid than others, If your like hypothetical Holy Grail is a Death Source, a modern like commander class Death Source to go with your HasLab Star Saber, that's fairly obtainable. If you're, and that's, and it's even likely at some point. If your Holy Grail is, if your hypothetical Holy Grail is like a Rat Trap toy that transforms into Pikachu, that not so much. That's a lot less likely. But you know what? Fair play to you. If you want that to be your Holy Grail, that is your. Like I said, you decide. You decide the restrictions. You decide what makes it special to you. And that's a Holy Grail. That's valid. Now, when I started collecting, when there wasn't nearly as many toys as there are now, when I first got online and found out there were pretty much like Holy Grails used to be kind of universal. They were toys that pretty much everyone wanted to go after. A big one was G1 Jetfire. A ton of people had this as a Holy Grail, not only because the engineering was such a step up from what other Transformers from back in the day were, but also because it was completely impossible to reissue, and it wasn't really a common figure when it first came out as well. This one in particular was big. Like, a lot of people went after this whenever they could. I went after it as soon as I could. I have one. Complete, no less. Shockwave, I remember being another one, too. Shockwave was another one that not a lot of people could get a hold of. Vintage had no chance of getting reissued because of the background of the toy and because it was a toy gun. So, again, that was another one. They are basically what I called starter holy grails. Like, the first toys you find out about, you go, oh, I gotta have that. And then as you go further into the fandom, and as you find out more and more of these toys and discover more and more of what you have available to you, then you start finding out what your real holy grail is, right? And yeah, sometimes it can be completely unobtainable things. It's valid, but sometimes admit, yeah, it probably isn't happening. So, what spurred all of this? So, like I said before, there are certain things that I will jump on, that I will always go after every chance I get if they give me the opportunity to get it. Anything Kamen Rider Gills, I will snatch up. Anything Star Saber, I will snatch up. When it comes to other things, Pokemon, for instance, you should know by now that I am a Scyther guy. That is my absolute all-time favorite Pokemon from the original game. From playing the original Pokemon Red on the old 4-color Game Boy to today, there is no Pokemon that tops Scyther for me. For me, absolutely spot-on design, spot-on concept. Everything about that character I absolutely love. To my right over here, is my little shrine of Scythers. I've got plushies, official and unofficial, lots of different figurines. I've got the Mega Construct set, rare cards. I've got a statue. I have like an unofficial like resin statue that's absolutely like the most beautiful Scyther thing I've ever seen. I have really cool stuff, but Scyther has some really hard things to get. There's a little Next Quest Scyther, like a little like figurine game piece that I have never gotten my hands on because it's crazy expensive now. But for me, my holy grail has always been this. So about, it's probably close to 10 years ago, I saw this thing in package on eBay for $70 and went, that's a little more than I want to spend. Let's see if it comes up cheaper. I haven't seen one on eBay since. This one came up a few months ago. This is a Johto League Champions Scyther. It is a 5-inch figure Hasbro produced in 2001, I believe. And it's the only 5-inch Scyther action figure there is. So this came up on eBay recently. And the seller seemed to go into really extreme detail over this. So yeah, I'm not going to give you the entire listing, but the description had this massive wall of text as to why he was charging what he was charging. And none of it made sense to me. None of it sounded right. I have looked up this figure several times. I never saw the information that he was pulling. Not to say that it's false, but just, it's not easy information to come up with. And it seemed like he was just trying to justify the price. The price he wanted for this thing, loose, was $750. For a loose one! Jeez. And yes, he posts this thing, which claims that one sold for $535, and it was the shiny version, which is not as desirable as the normal colors. I don't believe this. I genuinely do not believe this. Especially because he blocked out a piece of the information. He blocked something out here, so I don't know how to quantify this. $750. And the sad thing is, right now it's not on eBay because it is sold. But considering that it was sold for a best offer just a few days before, and then it popped back up and then almost immediately sold again for full price, I don't think it was a legitimate sale. I genuinely don't think it's a legitimate sale. Now, this toy has been offered to me a few times in the past. I have had someone said they had one in storage, and that was like over a year ago. I haven't heard from them since. There is another prominent Scyther collection out there that the owner was thinking about parting with, and since has decided to hang on to it. But I have first dibs if he changes his mind. If you're out there, dude, my my DMs and my wallet are always open if you so choose to pull that trigger. As long as you're being sane about the price on this one in particular. But yeah, my holy grail is this plastic mantis. What spurred this? This came up on eBay in late April. It sold on April 30th. It was listed as a Moncole Scyther. Moncole is short for Monster Collection, and it is the mini figurine line that Pokemon has been doing ever since its inception. This is not a Moncole Scyther. The pose is wrong, the sculpt is wrong, the proportions are wrong. This is a Johto League Scyther. The seller had it misnamed. I have like 7 or 8 save searches on eBay to notify me if a Johto League Scyther comes up. And I still do manual searches. Like every couple weeks, I will do a manual search trying to dig this thing up. And I've been at this for like close to a decade, just to see if one comes up that was mislabeled. This one just happened to pop up and sell during a brief window where I did not search. This thing sold for $25 shipped, which is actually a sane price. I don't care how rare a toy is. I don't care how much you try to spin justifications. A toy has to have demand to have the kind of demand that this lunatic thought this toy was worth. You know, I am one of the most diehard Scyther collectors you'll ever find. I would never be willing to pay $750 for this. You know, you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who'd pay $75 for one loose. Oh no. I know. It's frustrating. Someone got away with it. Someone got away with a huge thing on this one. And it's so frustrating to me that I missed out on it. I've been looking for this thing for so long. But that is how a Holy Grail hunt tends to go in the modern day. It's a lot of missed opportunity, and unfortunately, due to how things work, in order to stay informed, you also have to be informed of when you missed out on things, which just makes it burn worse. But alas, the search continues. So that's my tale of Holy Grails and the Holy Grails in Transformer collecting, as well as my current one. Let me know in the comments below what your Holy Grail is. Because it is such a personal thing, I'm actually curious as to what everyone would count as their Holy Grail toy that they absolutely have to have someday. So let me know. I really want to hear from you on this one. And yeah, one of these days, this thing will be mine. But so far, that day has not come yet. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.